and he's pedal to the metal. Go, go, go!
Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to PSGL. It's good to be back. It's good to be back in the commentary seat. You may notice I'm alone tonight. Unfortunately, Sartek could not join us this evening for round 6 of PCF5, but regardless, we're still going to have some great racing. Had a break last week, but drivers are itching to get back into the swing of things.
Unfortunately, there's a little bit of bug audio that has since been fixed. Apologies for that. And we shall be talking and getting straight down to business with our calendar. So we are officially crossed the halfway point, ladies and gentlemen. Round 6 of 11 here at PC Season 32. And that takes us, of course, to the beautiful circuit that is Silverstone. It's a steeped in history, an iconic circuit. Very, very pressing on the front left tyre. I wonder why that might be. Of course, we'll dig into that among some other interesting tidbits of the circuit as we get along. But with few races to go now, we've got Portimao, Spa-Francorchamps, and others like Albert Park, Circuit of the Americas, and of course rounding out Abu Dhabi. Let us know what you are looking most forward to as we round out the season and as we get to the second half of Season 32. But one thing is for sure, and that thing is that the season is hotting up across this halfway point. Let's take a look at the standings here. So between the drivers, we have two notorious standouts here. That is Noel Carman and Yuki. Of course, Yuki getting that beautiful win last time out in Monaco. Couldn't put a foot wrong. Really just absolutely nailed their performance out there. And almost in a bizarre twist of events sometimes, as Monaco tends to be, it's a little bit of a gauntlet. One of attrition and one that definitely favours qualifying over the race. Ask any driver, they'll tell you the exact same thing. Beautiful to look at, but racing wheel to wheel is more than a challenge. And that's something that Coleman may have found out in particular. But he's still got 5 points on the board, so a good performance nonetheless. And Yuki currently stands with the most podiums, short of a DNF. They are in fact the driver with the most podiums, and if they didn't DNF in, of course, Canada, then they could have been on the board as the only driver to get a podium in every race. Regardless, the two of them, 48 points to each other's name, with Justin, Norby, and Demas rounding out the top 5 with 37, 32, and 26 points respectively. So the top 5 drivers, they have got quite a battle heating up. So certainly the top 2, both on 48 points. But we've got some other battles sort of poised to take the center stage. So the Ferraris both doing very well, along with the McLaren team. Leo Lund not getting the best stroke of luck, not managing it last time out. Did get the fastest lap, but of course wasn't in a points-paying position, so couldn't really reap the benefits of that one. They did play a bit of the wider strategy game, though. They did manage to secure that fastest lap, meaning that nobody else could take that fastest point. And sometimes that's what it's about. It's about playing that strategy a little bit, making sure that even if at least you can't reap the benefits, make sure no one else can. That's certainly going to factor into things like the constructors' standings. But let's take a look at the track. Of course, Silverstone, 18 corners, 3.6 miles, a lot of turning to the left at high speed, Beckett's Cops, you name it, iconic corners, all with their own stories to tell, and drivers with their own points to prove. It's going to be a great race out there today. I am certainly looking forward to it. I definitely missed being here, as we did have that break last week for the PC drivers, owing to the esports finale, and congratulations to Lucas Blakely, by the way. massive congratulations to him. Brilliant job, well done there. And I think everyone has seen that clip. If you've been in the circles, you know about the clip where it's just getting very emotional at the end of the race. So didn't put the wrong, but a brilliant race on, and it's that catharsis, that emotion, knowing that you've done it, knowing that you put out a really good performance and it's worked, that I think really just speaks to the passion that goes behind all of the drivers, not just in esports, but up and down the league racing scene. Is that everyone in this community is so passionate and so driven to do their best and to bring their absolute A game in terms of racing. It's beautiful to see. And I, for one, love to be a part of it for the commentary box. And I'm very thankful to the team at PSGL for giving me the opportunity, of course, starting season 31 and allowing me to continue here in F5. But you hear the timer going. We're about to jump into the race, or at least into qualifying. And we can take a look at what some of our drivers can expect here in the beautiful, well, hopefully, on the beautiful tarmac that is Silverstone. Hopefully it's not too wet and we get some dry spells out there and some drivers get the opportunity to really stretch their legs, show them what they are made of. But we're about to hop in to the track now, just waiting for everyone to load in. Apologies for the delays. And just a quick reminder of the standings here. So drivers to watch absolutely will be the McLaren of Noel Carman and the AlphaTauri of Yuki, both top tier drivers, both at the peak of their game, and both bring in the heat here in PCF5. Justin has been another performer, and certainly towards the last two races, really picked up the pace, bringing it home 2 P2s and 12 points to their name. It's a really solid result. Super Gaming, another one to definitely watch, as they really just like showed their strength, particularly quali in Monaco, and hopefully that's some pace that we see to translate towards Silverstone here. But it should not be long now, not long before we get into the heat of the action, and the timer is just rolling in now for the lobby to commence. But let us know what drivers you're rooting for in the chat. Always love to see it. And let us know what you're looking forward to seeing. But we're about to jump in now. And let's get some racing and quali underway. So it looks nice and sunny here at Silverstone. Always good to see. Means that everyone is going to be getting out pretty much as quick as they can, making sure that they have opportunity. Looks like it's a Mercedes first out the gate. That is going to be Sparky, one of the new entries to the field. Of course, we did have our mid-season sign-ups occurring not too long ago. And it's good to see that a few drivers have joined the ranks. So Sparky being one of them. And we will see the others as time goes on, like the likes of Stephen Frahoff. I do believe I pronounced that correctly. Correct me if I have not. But on board with the Mercedes first thing, we'll be able to take a look. Just getting the heat into those tyres first thing. I think where we're going to see a lot of the time being gained, potentially, it's likely going to be in that first sector. So, coming off the start-finish straight, you've of course got, say, some faster speed corners before hooking into the right-hander and then the left, almost hairpin, which is really going to be a tell. So getting the heat into those softs is Sparky here. Poised himself up and is getting ready to set the pace. So about 16 minutes here, about 15 minutes of effective lapping. Sparky's got ample time. Can control the pace and set himself up for a prime lap. Here we go. Let's see what Sparky can do. Good approach to the start-finish line. And really, these first and, of course, the second sector, all about nailing your apexes, setting yourself up, making sure that you've got a decent through line, but not being too aggressive on the throttle. You can see there, Sparky being very progressive with the throttle input means that he's not at risk of losing the rear, especially as the corner is not quickly one and done. It traces out to a much wider arc. There we go, starting narrow for the second. Nicely done, using all of the track width available. Careful not to push it too hard on the inside. Still coming right to the edge of track limits. That's what it's all about. Pushing those boundaries. Brilliantly done so far by Sparky. Using a bit of the engine braking. Keeping the car stable. See, that's Aston Martin yielding to the car that is currently lapping. And here goes Sparky, comes around the final couple of corners, setting the benchmark for the session so far. The first time, it's a 126.942. Are we going to see anybody immediately dethrone that race? It's going to be coming across the line next to join the field. 127.0, so just slightly off. 10th in the running. Not quite going to be there yet. So I've got a couple drivers also out. As hey, Elliot Norrin's on a run. Yuki, though, comes 126.818. Burab's on a lap as well. Barros coming in with a 127.6. Aelfin with a 127.2. Alexander Dimas with a 126.7. Is his teammate going to match it? As we've got Joris coming in with a 126.9, so a decent spread of the field. 126.913. It's going to be Norby coming through now. Thinks that Norin is invalidated his lap. His lap will not count. And Noel Carman's going to be coming through the 126.776. So we're looking at about a second spread so far in terms of initial laps here in Quali. And that's going to be Matteo coming through as well. 127.3. Looking strong so far, up and down the field. Bringing some heat. 126.9 from Mento. Yeah, so about a second spread, all things considered, between the drivers. A lot of them are landing around the 126.9 mark. That looks to be about the median pace. So realistically, I would not be surprised if we see about a 4 to 5 tenths split by the end of the session. Jashki coming in with a 127.847. That is going to be one that he's definitely want to improve on, which leaves just a few drivers left. McBlurk are going to be heading into the pits. Norin looks like he's doing the same, with Leo Lalonde out on a flyer, is about to set their time. Justin, also another that needs to be putting on some good form. What's Leo Lund going to do? It's going to be a 127.5. Enough for P14, but again, one that they need to improve pretty quickly. And with time not being on their side necessarily, Justin having an invalidation and is going to head into the pits, preserve the resources that they have. I think Norin's also going to be heading into the pits before long as well, along with Kintix. So just a few drivers staying out. So Yashki going to be looking like they're on a cool-down lap. I'd say everyone's finished their initial runs and has now pitted back in. Yeah, Jashki heading into the pits. Just Leo Lund remaining on track. Hopefully by the time they get back, we'll see someone else coming through for an initial run, or say the two Red Bulls and the second AlphaTauri of Noren yet to set a time. They can't really leave anything to chance here. We're nearing the 10-minute mark. Coming here for round 6 quali. Short quali. Haven't got the benefit of other sessions like some of the other leagues might do. Looks like McBlurk is going to be the first to head out of the second batch. And is looking to put a time on the boards. Now, I often talk about this with Sartak, my co-com, when he is here. Unfortunately, again, he can't make it. Wish him all the best. Apparently, he had some personal matters to deal with, which is 100% fair enough. But one thing that we always talk about is the psychology, the mind of the driver. It's as if not more important than the skill on the track itself. You could be the brilliant driver, you could be the best driver in the world, but if you don't have that mindset and competitive outlook, you will not put that skill to good use, and vice versa. If you don't have the skill, no matter how competitive you are, mind you, skill can be trained, so that is a bit of an easier solution. Saying that now, McBlurk looks to be about to set an initial time after this lap. He's on. Looking determined. Getting the heat into those softs nice and quick. And you can see it's sometimes a little bit more advanced technique some of these drivers are employing. It's not just using the brakes. It's using things like your gearing, engine braking to really maximize that braking force and keep your car stable. Sometimes it's all too easy to just slam on the brakes, put it a little bit too much, lock up, and then you're really in a difficult position. You can use things like the friction of the engine and the drivetrain to sort of help you out. It is that little bit of extra braking force while keeping your car stable that can really come in handy. But so far, the current time to beat, 126.730 from Dimas. Is McBlurk going to come close to that? Looks like a brief yellow coming out is for, looks like Steven Furhoff. McBlurk looks to be on good form here. Not pushing it as aggressively on the inside as some. So running a slight wide of the apex at points. But I guess McBlurk's taking the safer option. They go double shifting. Interesting choice there. Yeah, certainly an interesting choice, double shifting through that section. As we head into Sector 3 now. Looks to be on okay form. Might be on track for a good lap. It's looking like a 127. And there you go. It's a 127.6. It's only good enough for P16, but it's still on the board. It's still a time that automatically, by default, put them ahead of the likes of Norin and Justin, their teammate here. And speaking of Justin, they also look like they are on a run as well. Hopefully see in due time if anyone is going to break the barrier. And yes, they have. Yuki coming in 126.578 in the AlphaTauri. That is going to be the new pole position. Can anyone make a viable challenge to it? Doesn't look like it just yet. Got a few drivers really trying to push here, especially the second sector. It's all about getting those lines in. Yellow flags briefly popping in and out. Let's see. Has crossed the line. No improvement. Mercedes heading into the pits. That looks like Matteo there. Sparky out on track. But all eyes are on Justin. Such a strong performer in previous rounds. Can they match that same energy? It's going to be P13. 127.317. It's on the board. Only Norin remains as a driver yet to set a time. Speaking of Norin, I think they are going on a run now. So let's check in, see how they are doing. As some of the positions start to shuffle around a little bit on the board. Dimas makes an improvement. 126.588. Just 3 milliseconds shy of Noel Carman. Hasn't quite got it yet, though. But they are definitely in good form to be on the second row. Looks like, yeah, Leonard Jaschke coming in the 127.0s now. As Memento in the Aston Martin also throws in a curveball. Puts himself P10. See, again, a lot of drivers heading into the pits now. That's both Williams heading into the pits. Kintick and Barros. Stammered on my words there. Forgive me. But Kintick and Barros both heading into the pits. Norin, unfortunately, invalidating their lap. That is unfortunate. They did look like they were really on a good push, but just pushed it a little bit too far, as it's so easy to do. Leo Lund not making an improvement, but looks like this is the run for them. So let's see how they do here. Coleman heading back into the pits in P2. Doesn't look like they got an improvement, or their lap simply didn't go their way. So all the eyes right now are on their teammate. They've got such good form, those two, at least in the early rounds. Can they keep that momentum going? Elfin about to cross the line. Are they going to get an improvement? No. Looks like they're going on another run. Just a few drivers left on track now. Memento, Jaschke, Elfin, and Leo Lund, who we're on board with right now. And we're going to see what they can bring. So they look to be on a fairly good pace. Sparky back out on track. Looking to improve on their P9. They're in the 126s, so they have reached the sort of midpoint of the field. But they definitely want to be looking at improvement. Leo Lund, though, fastest sector 2, absolutely nailing the high-speed corners here. You can hear the engine revving right up. Just maximizing that grip. No, they look like they were on a good run, but they're heading to the pits. I think they might have run out or not had the fuel to make it round the track again. They don't want to compromise themselves too hard. Still, it looked like they were on such a good run there. I don't really know why they abandoned. Short of maybe a technical problem. Even so, Elfin looks to be picking up that torch where Leo Lund left off. About to come through. We're going to see if they can get a strong time on the boards. It's looking solid from Elfin. Is it going to be an improvement? Yes, it is. It's P5 for the Alfa Romeo, and a 126.779 has put them right next to their teammate on the third row. But a brilliant job there by Elfin. Just sort of locking it in. A great lap there. And a few drivers are now out with the intent to set and potentially get themselves into the 126s. That's really the target where you want to be. By the looks of the times and how they're stacking up, if you want to be in the top 10, you gotta be in the 26. Like a style commentary. Good job so far. Thank you. It's just a shame I don't have my co-com with me. Feels a little bit lonely in the box. So here we go. Barros now. Seeing exactly what they can do. There's really two core tenets of Silverstone. Setting your lines and maximizing the track. There's so many points where you can cut it a little bit on the apex or push it a little bit wider just to conserve that extra few miles an hour. But those two core tenets of Silverstone are what make some of these laps absolute marvels to behold. But here we are, looking like a good first sector there from Barros, keeping in good form. And you can see right there a little example of how you can cut the apex a bit, shorten your line, save some time. But you can't be too careful sometimes with some of these corners. You push it too far, and it's all too easy to... Oh, as we just saw there from Barros, he loses the rear. Just pushing it a bit too hard. Let's hope he's not beached in the gravel. Looks like he's able to just get it out of there. No, Barros doing so well at that point. Only to lose it. That is a shame. They were on such a good pace, it looked like they had such good sector 1 and just a bit too aggressive on the throttle. Here we are, final minute here of qualifying, so you can see everyone is out of the track. We went from a nobody to all of a sudden the entire cohort out in full force. So everyone is going to be giving it that last shot to try and get those laps in. Justin, one to watch. P14 looking to make an improvement. Looking like the sides are a little bit scuffed up, a little bit of dirt on there. May have outrun the track one too many times. Let's hope they haven't got any damage to their name. But see, everyone bar Ailfin is out on track, giving it their all right now. And we will be here first when it happens. But no, looks like Justin is obstructed briefly. Managed to get out of that situation. But no, there you go. He was on a run, and there's just too many cars on track at the start-finish straight. He couldn't go anywhere. Oh, that is rough for the Red Bull. He's not going to get an improvement. He's going to be down in P14, and he can only go down from there. Hopping on board, though, with one driver who put on some brilliant pace earlier and just didn't lock it into a lap. Again, fastest personal S2. Leo Lund coming through the final sector. Last chance to get themselves much higher on the boards. And coming across the line there, what's it going to be from Leo Lund? It's going to be a 126.9. They're in the sixes, but it's only enough for P11 so far. They cannot quite make it work. It's going to be Steven next across the line. No improvement. Half a tenth down. I think we're going to see a lot of drivers suddenly making some jumps up the boards. You can see everyone cascading through the second sector. Alexander Dimas next to come across the line. 126.5 to beat. Does not beat it. And that is a Sparky coming across the line. Memento coming across the line. Coleman heading into the pits. Interestingly. Kintix coming P4 as he crosses the line there. Jashki is about to round out and see. Yuki is finished their session. Jashki, no improvement. Norby up in P6. Final big jumps around the field. And you've got Super Gaming heading into the pits. Last driver to set is Sparky, and there's going to be no such thing as Sparky heads into the pits to retire in P11 of the session. And that is your grid, folks. This is your grid for the race. So Yuki takes pole position by just 7 milliseconds against Noel Carman, who then is against Dimas by 3. So this entire top half of the field is separated by just 10 milliseconds. P1 through P3. I can't believe this. This is too close to call. These drivers are absolutely going to be coming to blows come the race. But one thing is for sure, and it's that Dimas, Carman, and Yuki have got axes to grind on the circuit. But here we go. Looking at your standings, we've got Yuki taking pole position, 126.578, with Noel Carman and Alexander Dimas coming just behind. Kintix takes P4 in a surprise move in the Williams, along with Joris in the Haas with a 126.711. Norby, Ailfin, and Memento round out the third and fourth rows respectively, with Super Gaming, Stephen Fraff, a new arrival to F5 no less, along with Sparky and Leo Lund locking in and closing off that 126 door. And then down the bottom end of the field, we of course have Mateo, Racik, Jashki, Justin the Racer, Barros, McBlurk, and Elliot Norin. But that is your grid, folks. That is qualifying here in round 6, PCF5 Silverstone. And we will be back with you after a word from our sponsor. So here we are, folks. Before we head into round 6 of the PC Season 32 F5 season. A reminder, our calendar is crossed the halfway point and we have just 5 races to go. We have Portimao, Spa-Francorchamps, Albert Park, Circuit of the Americas, and Abu Dhabi. Let us know what track you're looking most forward to in the chat, and of course check out our sponsors GT Omega. Use code PSGL for a healthy discount. And a reminder of the standings and what is at stake here. We have 2 drivers, No Carmen and Yuki, fighting neck and neck for points. They are 48 points respectively, with Justin just behind, but in P14 looks like he might struggle unless there is a big event happening to shake up the tables. But before we head into the race, we're getting word that looks like is exactly what is happening. Look at the skies. The skies are overcast, and it looks like we might have a big shake-up in terms of tyre and weather strategy. Not sure if it's going to rain. It looks just overcast for the moment, but one can only guess and tell. Hopefully they've got the engineers in the hot box, but it looks like there's 5 red lights. The track is hot, and away we go. It looks like a brilliant getaway from No Carmen and Yuki. There's some bits of jumping around in the back end of the field. Mateo and Racing jostling for position, and Alfa Romeo going slightly wide. That's Super Gaming. Yuki getting a brilliant getaway. That's going to be Joris and Norby battling alongside each other, side by side, 2 abreast, 3 abreast through the first sector. Everyone just trying to fight for position and get themselves back into the running. Joris, in fact, disconnecting, but briefly coming back into the race after some big scuffles, losing a position to Ailfin before regaining control once again. Back end of the field, Norim, of course, pushing hard to try and move up themselves a little bit in the field, but Steven Prohalf around the outside, losing a position briefly to Sparky. And let's see what's going on as Racing is down at the bottom end of the field. They've lost a big chunk of positions. They are all the way down at the bottom end of the field. Must have spun out there. And Prohalf slotting in, like so many of these drivers, they're slotting in almost in a rhythm and in form. A Super Gaming is breathing right down their neck. Joris just dropping like a stone, though, as Mateo. What's happened to Mateo there? They've lost it. They've spun around, coming out of the second sector. Had to wait for the track to clear. Yellows are coming out. All eyes are on these top 3 right now. Yuki, Carmen, and Dimas, as they settle into their positions. Yuki got about half a second on P2 so far, and setting the initial fastest lap on the hard tyre. So in terms of track moves, looks like everyone's mostly found their form, settled into a position. Some big winners, some big losers, but everyone is looking to be on the hard to start off with the exception of Joris. But Joris doesn't have control of their car, I don't think yet, at least. I think they are still in AI mode. So we are just waiting to see how that strategy is going to play out. Of course, 26 laps. So likely we will see probably just after the halfway point, everyone switching to the mediums. But with the weather, I don't know if that's going to stick. Well, Dimas, big wiggle, losing the rear and having to dart off the track to prevent an incident. He's going to rejoin in P11, but he's going to be frustrated as anything after that blunder. He's going to be fighting with Jaski side by side, not giving anything to chance, and immediately starting that charge back up to the top end of the field. I would be so frustrated if I was in that position. I had the blunder like that. Seemingly on lock in the podium. It's only lap 2 though. Plenty of time to get it back up, especially when you have the DRS about to activate come lap 3, depending on the weather conditions. It's looking very overcast here in Great Britain. We are waiting to see what the call is from race control. Yuki getting a fastest lap again, a 1:30.8. He has that clean air. He really has the freedom to do whatever he pleases, as long as he can break that second toe. By the time we get to DRS zones, he's safe and in the clear. DRS has been enabled by race control, and we're just waiting to see if anyone is going to be launching some spicy moves as a result. Looks like a little bit of a wiggle there from Ailfin. Just about caught it. But who else in the running than Super Gaming and Frahalf right now? Both of them got DRS, trying to catch up, but everyone's in the train. With the exception of Racek and Mateo, everyone is in that DRS train. There's no real advantage gained by anyone. So it's all going to be down to skill and placement. Where the biggest drivers are going to win is in how they manipulate their opponents into a bad position to then take them up into a overtake. Here we are on board with Kintix now, who had a brilliant showing in qualifying, P4, and has since held their ground pretty nicely. Lodged themselves firmly in P3. Of course, Dimas struggling a little bit further down, but looks to be making a move on Leo Lund around the outside. They just had their nose poked, but there's no choice but to really tuck back in. Although, looking at Steven Brohoff, not sure what's happened into their condition and not sure what's happening in terms of their connection, sorry. But that must have been a big spook for a lot of the drivers on the field. Yeah, telemetry was on for quali. Apologies for not turning it back on in the race. I would have thought it stuck the settings. Completely slipped my mind. Anyhow, we have Dimas clearly aggressively trying to push, burning through a lot of their ERS in an effort to get past Leo Lund and start that upward trajectory into the points paying positions. That's really what they need to do. They're lucky they avoided incident, in truth. So here we go, Norin now. P16, battling with McBlurk, going to be trying to get a move done. They have 100% ERS. They're going to be pushing on the inside as McBlurk goes wide. And that is going to be a clean move done by Norin. That is P15 for the AlphaTauri. And I'm sure he wants to catch up to his teammates' support. Be that wingman that the pole sitter so desperately needs, as Carmen before long is going to be pressing on as a threat. You can see there that gap closes and wanes. It's about half a second at this point in time, but you cannot afford to let it slip, as Carmen almost lets it slip. A little bit of a wiggle there, losing the rear. Just throttle aggression is the name of the game. I think track temperatures might be a little bit low. Memento getting fastest lap all the way in P5. So maybe he had a bit of space to himself, combined with that DRS. Maybe he had a bit of an opportunity. Of course, that fastest lap point could be crucial in some drivers and constructors fights. So don't leave it out to chance, as Joris heading into the pits, it seems. Not sure what's going on with them there. Coleman getting a fastest Sector 1. And Matteo all the way down at the bottom end of the field as well. Kind of in a space of their own. Racing's done well to catch up to the train of cars. Matteo and Joris are kind of out of luck. Short of a safety car being thrown their way, it looks like they might be marooned. They're out of any DRS, because we have a train from 1st to 12th, and then 15th down to 17th as a mini train, but it's not much to be spoken of. So we are Super Gaming now. Looks to be poising up to make a move, or at least attempting to. They are in the middle of that train. And I think at this point in time, a bit more of a play to maybe stick it out for a couple laps. See what their opponents do. See if they can put on any pressure to that effect. McBlurk and Racing, in fact, trading places. What's going on down the bottom end of the field? They're going side by side, bumping wheels, contact a little bit there. But no, as these two are just racing hard. McBlurk peeking around the outside, throwing a bit of a dummy, not going through with it though. Tio Racing having to put on a bit of a defensive job. He's out of DRS range of Norin, so he can't benefit from that. McBlurk might be immediately getting a retake. See Racing's responding with a little bit of overtake ERS to get that power out of the corner. McBlurk almost throwing it in on the inside. Doesn't have the space to go for it though. And is a little bit too far away to boot. That leaves a few drivers to keep our eye on. Namely, we have Norin, who's going to be pushing very soon against Barros, McBlurk against Rasic, and then Super Gaming. But saying that, looks like Super Gaming might be having a bit of a break as Steven, as Frohoff, has got a 3-second penalty. The first of the race here. Lap 6, 3-second penalty for track limits, and Norin and Barros trading places through the DRS zone. Are we going to see Barros go for a counter? Let's wait and see. I don't know if we're going to see any counter moves from Barros, purely because it's only got 20% battery. Can't really spend the resources to catch up if you don't have the resources to begin with. So best Barros can do really is stay in that DRS range because Norin is out of Justin's tow. Best he can do is stay in that DRS range, use it to his advantage. But one who is firmly not out of range just yet is McBlurk here. So they are going to be looking. Joris on the soft tyres, in fact, sets the fastest lap. Looks to be getting a clean break with some air. Maybe went back in for some damage earlier and just said, well, we might as well throw strategy to a little bit of a curveball. We got the hard tyre running, so we satisfied the tyre rule. Or no, they were on the medium, but medium, soft, soft might be the strat here if they can make good on time. Although with a 28-second deficit, even with that, I don't know if we're going to see a big comeback for Joris like some would hope. Here we are then, though. Dimas, though, still in P11, has yet to get past Leo Lund. Despite attempts and despite looking around, we have yet to see a move being made. About half a second behind. Waiting for that key opportunity, or maybe even that blunder from the McLaren up ahead to maybe capitalize on. Even with that DRS, Leo Lund also is in the tow of Super Gaming, so he can't really do anything about it. And that's why we say tenets of Silverstone, using the track to your advantage, but also being careful of those track limits. Can't be pushing too hard. But looks like a yellow has come out. That is Kintix. Kintix is out of the race, folks. We're trying to see and get a good look exactly what happened. And yeah, looks like that is Kintix in the wall and out of the race here. That is going to be a safety car. That is going to be a safety car. Full core, no virtual. And this is going to be the key opportunity because Yuki's kind of been waiting for this. It's really a core time for a lot of the front runners to be heading into the pits. You can see Yuki, Carmen, Norby, Memento, Sparky, Steven, everyone in the top 10, bar Jashki and Aelfin, are all heading into the pits. So it looks like a few of them are getting some penalties for speeding. Gotta be careful with that speed in the pit lane, folks. Can't be infringing when you cross that line, or that is 5 seconds. But no, pretty much everyone heading into the pits, bar Aelfin and Jashki. And with these top two runners both coming out and ahead of everyone, they do have the hards, but whether that's going to be effective, I couldn't tell you. Because so far, everyone, bar Joris, is looking to be out on the medium compound. And even then, Joris might be going back in for a medium compound themselves. So we are Yuki, Carmen, Norby, basically leading that respective race. Aelfin and Jashki still have to make a pit stop. And it looks like they are both on a really good time here, on really good form. Coleman kind of has a bit of an uphill battle to deal with. as Yuki has been controlling the race pace so well thus far. Yeah, trying to keep that engine warm. 13,000 RPM monsters, these turbo V6s. I know they'll both be able to get that ERS to 100% by the time safety car gets called back in, that's for sure. And then they will properly be duking it out, neck and neck, all equal playing field. Best Yuki can hope for in this situation is for that DRS safety net. So remember, DRS does not reactivate immediately. It's usually about a lap or 2 laps after a safety car period that DRS reactivates. Not to mention the curveball that could be rain. But best Yuki can hope for to retain that lead, really, is for the both of them to be pushing and for Yuki to get away before that DRS window reopens. So he's not going to have control of the pace coming off the safety car. That's going to be left to Aelfin. But if they can be pushed to their limits, and if Yuki can quickly disperse of Aelfin and Jeski on the harder tyres, on the much slower compound, might be in with a chance, especially if Carmen gets held up. As we wait and bide our time here. Looks like we're going to see quite the heated battle in the mid-pack as well. This might be the chance that Dimas has been waiting for to get out on top and reassert themselves in that top 10. This is really what he's been waiting for. So yeah, all eyes, though, are on Yuki here. Definitely all eyes on Yuki. Trying to keep the heat in those mediums, get them up to temp by the time we set off. As McBlurk and Joris are trying to catch up to that safety car queue. But one more lap, it looks like, under the safety car, and then we will be away. McBlurk furiously is trying to catch up to the rest of the crew. That is definitely going to be a rough talk back in Parc Ferme for the Williams team. And it's just Barros left out on track to fight that corner. There we are, McBlurk back up to the queue now. Lap 11 of 26. Should be seeing the safety car coming in this lap. And before long, we will be back to racing as always. And so that leaves a few options, these drivers in reality, because they have a few ways that they can play it from this point. We can't tell for sure what the weather is going to be like for these remaining 15 laps, but everyone seems to be banking on the medium tyre to carry, well, pretty much the rest of the distance, if not most of it. We might see a few going for a last soft compound dash. But at this point, there are a couple options. For drivers, it's either push to the absolute maximum extent, get out ahead early, and then play the defensive role once they burnt all their resources. Or it might be a case of biding your time, relying on that passive pressure in order to get those positions taken, and really just force your opponent into a mistake. That's kind of the meaning of pressure. Just forcing your opponents into a mistake, into a reactionary state, rather than focusing on the race. Here we go. Regardless, though, that's all in the bygones now, and that doesn't really concern us at this point, because Aelfin leads the pace of the race as the safety car comes in this lap. We are back to race pace in just a second. How is Aelfin going to play this? Got Jaschke behind, a lot of medium runners. Carmen and Yuki briefly trading places, going side by side with one another, but quickly relinquishing. Aelfin going to get a good getaway. He's not going to fool Jaschke, but Yuki and Carmen, amidst their squabbling and briefly position trading, is going to lend themselves a bit of a time gap. Norby keeping an eye on the inside. Barros and Joris both dropping heavily down the field. Barros especially down in P18, completely lost it. And Justin pushing and fighting side by side with Dimas, as Dimas has lost another position. They're down in P12. Racek and Mateo also jostling between the two of them, and that leaves a few of them really out of pocket. Both the Hasses down in P16 and P17. Leo Lund looks like they are pushing on Steven Frolf here. Now, they don't need to push as aggressively because he's got the 3-second penalty, but he needs to still get past if he wants to join his teammate in the top steps. And with Carmen and Yuki looking like they are about to duke it out here. Carmen just keeping it right heavy on the tail. Norby might be joining the fight, as is Memento. Cautiously lying in wait. Carmen's giving it everything. He knows that if that DRS window activates and they're still behind the two hard runners, it might as well be over. Sector 3, there's a red coming out. That's Dimas. Oh, there's a yellow coming out even. Dimas completely lost it on track. They are struggling there as Memento and Norby swap places. The Ferraris have fallen in a pretty spectacular way, or at least one of them has. So eyes on Memento here. Just got a 3-second penalty, though, for stretching those track limits a little bit too far. And you can see that's immediately thrown him off his game. He had to catch that slide there, just going a bit aggressive on the throttle. Immediately thrown him off his game there. He's still keeping his eyes on the prize. He can at least at this point do a little bit of damage limitation. If he knows what he's doing. Just can't afford to over push it and potentially net himself another penalty. That's the last thing you want in this situation. Leo Lundo fighting alongside Steven Frolf, locking in that inside line, having to tuck back in though. Both of them going neck and neck, and Frolf actually extending the track a little bit. They have got that penalty already, but that just means they've got 2 more free warnings to burn before another penalty comes into effect. Leo Lund keeping it stuck on the tail. DRS still yet to activate. Fighting and biding their time until that window opens is the name of the game. Carmen on the back of Yuki here. It's also trying to defend off from Memento, who comes flying down the inside. A little bit of bumping tires, a little bit of contact. Carmen re-establishes his position, though, even after a little bit of jostling. Norby and Memento having the same little fight that they had just moments ago. With Norby continuing to push it. Sparky coming swinging in, almost looking like they were about to sideswipe, but that's just a trick of the camera perspective. But they are keeping it tight and keeping it close with this mid-pack battle as Leo Lund, Steven Frau, Sparky, Norby, all trading places in this midpoint of the race and in the mid-pack of the field here. So firing it out the inside, looking for potential options. Can't quite make anything work just yet, but they know to bide their time. They know how to place their car, and they know just how to place their opponents in a bad position with enough sufficient pressure. Leo Lund's probably thinking the same thing. Peeking around and looking for a move to be done, but again, just not having that opportunity to do so quite yet. It's really heating up here in PCF5. Here at Silverstone, Super Gaming is going to be another driver looking to make a move as they close that gap to Frau. DRS is open. Both of them have it, but Super Gaming can potentially place himself in a good spot. He's got the draft as well. He's got the toe. Also got a little bit of dirty air to contest with. Now, these new cars for this year, they may have reduced the dirty air problem, but it's just that, reduced. Leo Lund having to catch a little bit of a stumble there, put themselves out of position, lost a lot of time to Sparky in P7, but still managing to keep Krahoff and Super Gaming at bay. Just waiting for that opportune moment as Matteo now has lost it. They've binned it in the side of the track. Luckily, without totaling their car, but still, down to P17. It's a rough spot. And Super Gaming also getting their own set of penalties. 3 seconds to their name too. That is going to be music to the ears of Norin and Justin there, who's set to benefit the most from both the drivers ahead getting those penalties. It is all about damage control for those penalised drivers at this point. Memento, Frahalf, Super Gaming, all they can do here is really just make sure that they put in the best drives they can without exceeding in order to ensure that that damage from the 3-second time loss is minimised. Because they're definitely going to be losing at least 3 or 4 positions each. And McBlurk, P13, also joining the ranks of the penalised. You can see how close Noel Carmen is. Fires it down the inside a little bit. Has the front wing ahead. He's going to be pushing. This is it. Now or never. He's going to be going round. Yuki is going to try and hold that line against him, but it's not going to work. Carmen's up in P3, and he has got free reign to attack the hard runners up ahead. Yuki's 3 tenths behind. But Carmen's just in that range for DRS2, so he can't really get that same launch that Carmen did. And it's a brilliant job had by both. Both of them burning a fair chunk of their resource there too, about 30% each right now. You can see he's got his next target on the list and he's going to go for it immediately. Carmen immediately swooping in on Yashki there. Pushing hard and getting that move done decisively, and that is going to be a real roadblock to the likes of Yuki, who is now stuck behind and in fact trading places with Memento there. Just not getting that exit they wanted. Oh, looks like a little bit of a squeeze for Norby. What's happened there? Norby all the way down now in P14. Looks like they got a little bit of a squeeze from Yuki there. Just didn't get that exit that the AlphaTauri wanted. And the door looked to be shut. Can't say for sure, of course, until the stewards take a look. At least from our perspective, it looked a little bit like a door being shut. So here we go. Leonard Jashki went from such a strong position to now dropping down the order. And I think they took that as their sign, as they have now headed into the pits on lap 17 to likely switch over to some mediums like the rest of the field has done before them. But still, all that time loss under the softer compounds and under the safety car, it means regardless of where they come out, they are still going to be fighting uphill. You can see there, P17, an Herculean mountain to climb if they want to even get close to coming back out on top. But for Alf right now, another set of penalties. 6 seconds to their name now, but still continuing that good fight with Leo Lund here. And there is another yellow coming out. That's going to be McBlurk just losing it on will look to be the inside of the start of sector 2 here. And Frauhoff trading spots with Super Gaming, as Super Gaming looks to be getting that switchback. Frauhoff has no choice but to yield to the Alfa Romeo as they slot in effortlessly into P7. But it's not going to be done just yet, as that overtake button is going to be primed. Super Gaming is going to hold the line. Going to hold the line plenty, but Elfin as well in the AlphaTauri of Yuki as well is going to be dropping down places massively. What's happened to him? Oh, he's going into the pits. Maybe he got some damage earlier on. It seems so premature. Elfin dropping down to Noel Carmen here. Everyone's sort of jostling around and trading places by this point. You can see Carmen is on the recharge. He burnt everything to get to pole position, and so it's only a matter of time before everyone else starts to encroach on that lead. Like Memento, for example, is going to be fighting to get past Elfin, just can't do it. So frustrating to be in this position, because he knows full well he's got the superior tyre, he's got the pace, but he just can't get past Elfin. Elfin's doing such a good job of defending on those ailing hards that Memento really can't get past yet. And even with DRS, Elfin's going to have it too. They're doing a great job from their perspective. You can see holding that inside line. Memento's going to be pushing, giving it everything they have on the ERS front, but Elfin is just going to be tucking it around. Memento, though, on the superior compound, is just going to have that pace to get that switchback done, and this is Elfin's sign to head into the pits, but it's well fought by that Alfa Romeo. That leaves Noel Carmen P1, Memento P2, Sparky in P3. Great debut here in the mid-season for the Mercedes driver. Leo Lund in P4, slightly behind, outside of that DRS range. Super Gaming in 5th, rounding out that top 5. Elfin putting in that good fight right until the time they're calling it quits. Question is, will they come out ahead of their relative rival, Jashki? Of course, the only other driver on the safety car period to stay on hards. Are they going to be staying ahead of that Alpine? Time will tell. Yes, they are. They're going to be coming out P15. Just ahead of the other driver on the same strategy. So if you really need a metric of pace, that is it right there. Matteo now looking to be peeking around. Norin surprisingly leaves this session there in P8. But Matteo looking to be making an attack on McBlurk here for P12. Having that inside line. It's going to be tucking in a little bit of contact on the wings there between the two. That's going to be trying to sweep it round the Mercedes. Isn't quite going to have that opportunity just yet. I'm sure Matteo is feeling that pressure as Norin and Racing trade positions. Norin disconnected from the lobby, and that's just going to leave him a sitting duck till he gets back in. Looking for those moves. Throws a dummy. Can't quite get it round just yet. In fact, looks like big trades around the mid-pack, as Frauhof enters the pits along with Norin. Looks like they're going on another set of mediums, as is the AlphaTauri. A very curious decision there from the teams. Maybe they just decided they don't have the longevity that they otherwise expected from those compounds to really make that move. But Barros being promoted to P12 amidst all of that pit switching. And that is going to leave Frauhof coming out P14 right next to their teammate, Jashki. Yeah, coming right out next to their teammate. Is one of them going to yield? They're in each other's space. This is what you don't want to happen. You don't want to step on each other's toes to the point you're conceding positions to the likes of Yoris here. He's going to have the DRS. Isn't going to be able to do anything with it. It takes a decisive team, and even a team engineer or a leader there, to decide who goes where and who is going to be the one pushing and who's going to be the one yielding. Otherwise, you just step on each other's toes, and it's not a good time. Regardless, both of them in this sort of neck of the woods, P14 and P16 respectively, and that leaves the door wide open for anyone to come in swinging. Yuki's down in P17 right now. And after such a good start to now nearly at the bottom of the field, it's a worrying sight. It's a worrying sight for sure. Barros, though, is going to be getting a 3-second penalty there. Going to be joining the ranks. And a lot of these drivers are more focused than anything on keeping their noses clean. Elfin, 129.4, gets the fastest lap of the race in P13, though, so he's going to have to jump up if he wants the points paying. But still, the denial of that to other drivers might be crucial in some of these championship and title fights. Here we are. Memento then, looking on board with the Aston Martin, as they have one target in their sights and one target only. That being Noel Carman. So he's going to have the DRS. Carman taking a little bit of an earlier apex in order to get that position, but Memento is going to be peeking on the inside. You can see Carman able to cover off just by nature of having a wide arc on their corner. Memento going very narrow, looks to be in that attacking position. Of course, they can command the inside of the corner, then they essentially have control of the other driver's line. But Carman is just maximizing the width of the track. In fact, going for later apexes, that was a slip on my part, but going for slightly later apexes, making sure that they get good exits out of the corner, and they have the pace to almost counteract any DRS action, or at least hold them off to the best of their ability. And that is a pretty smart play, if I had to say. Even so, you can see here with the DRS, Memento can't get up close. So just maximize that pace through this sector. Norin coming through with the 129.415, sets the fastest lap, P16 right now, as Matteo and McBlurk look to both be heading into the pits. And that leaves a few questions out on the board so far. You've got the two Alpines, P12 and P13, got promoted after a few pit entries, with Barros and Jaschke trading spots just ahead of them. They're going in neck and neck. In the end, it's going to be Jaschke continuing that pressure, and just tips the rear into his teammate. It looks like they both might have damage from that. That is a rough situation to be in, as Barros looks to be suffering pretty badly from that. Down to P15, I wonder if they got any body damage that we can't necessarily see. The wings look fine. They might have got side pod or underfloor from that collision. Regardless, both the Alpines up in P11 and P12 now. Verhoeven up with 6 seconds of penalties, though, is going to see themselves demoted at the least to P15, if my commentator maths serves me right. But even so, it looks like they're both battling for space and position. I have to wonder, is there any team manager or engineer in their ear? And if so, are they getting any questions or orders to say, look, make the move, make the pass? Leonard is faster than you. Doesn't look like that is happening, although Barros and Norin look to have come together just behind. It looks like we might see a bit of a shake-up at the front of the field, though, very, very soon. Now, you've got to remember, these are 14-lap-old mediums. Unless they've been hyper-conservative on them, I can't see how the pace gains are viable. I really can't see it, so at this point, drivers really don't have any other option. That's the tough part. They don't have any other option to switch to softs at this point, with only, by the time they're up to temp, one running lap, it will just simply not be viable. The time you lose would not be worth it. So really, these drivers are taking a bit of a gamble. 15 laps on the mediums, it is a bit of a gamble. And one that you'd have to hope that everyone else is afflicted from too. Now, they kind of have the benefit of the doubt, being almost in a pack mentality. Everyone from P1 to P9 is on these 15-lap-old mediums. The only next competitor is Aelfin in P10, and he's 15 seconds behind. Matteo, though, getting the fastest lap on the softs, 129.0, goes to show that difference in pace. So with all of that wear on the medium, you can't expect the god tier pace that we might be seeing from some of the other runners down the end of the field. It's like Leonard and Steven have traded places They have both traded places here. Is that going to stick? If these two continue to battle, they are just easy pickings for the likes of Yoris behind. And that's really the last thing you want as a team, is to leave yourself open through petty squabble. Sparky, though, looks like they could be set up for a move on Memento very soon, because Memento's on the recharge. Sparky still has half his battery, and he's looking on very good form. And if you wanted a Season 32 debut as a reference, I don't think you can get much better than here. If they can lock in that podium finish, they will be singing. Here we are, Sparky. Poised to look for a move. They are slowly biding their time, charging that ERS. Barros heads into the pits. McBlurk loses it in P17, but they haven't really got much competition on track to lose the time too. So they're pretty much okay. And this is it, now or never, folks. I think Sparky knows it. This is kind of the last real chance to go for Ascend. He sees the recharge, sees his opportunity. It's going to be Memento and Sparky going neck and neck. Memento goes super hard on the inside, goes on that defensive line. Sparky swinging it around the outside, though, and is going to nail the move into P2. That is the Mercedes. And what a move that was. You can see the battle of wits on full display as we come to the final lap here. Noel Coleman leads. 17 laps on the mediums. Everyone is nursing that rubber back home. Can't be pushing it too hard at this point. And that begs a question. It's half a second between them. Could Sparky go for a surprise win? It's so close. It's so up for contention here. But if they can keep that momentum going, they might be in with a shot. Now, we're on the same ERS between the two of them. There's a Sector 1 yellow flag. That looks to be Yoris there. Oh, no, that is Rasic. Yeah, that is Rasic down into P9. Losing it coming out of the first sector. Here we are, Sparky here. I don't know if we're going to see that move being done. This is kind of the place you got to do it. You can see that Coleman's on the recharge. This might be his time to strike. That gap is closing. It's getting that McLaren within range for the move. He's too far away, but he could fire it into the last corner. I don't know if we're going to see it. I don't think it's going to happen. I think for all of the pressure and all of the tyre pressure, in the end, it's going to be Noel Coleman coming through to win the British Grand Prix. Silverstone is the McLaren's territory, and we showed it here today. Leo Lund being promoted to P3. After Memento's penalty, he gets demoted to P5, and the other drivers start to careen through and set their positions in. Everyone at the bottom end sitting with those penalties, but what a great showing from everyone out on the track, and really just great job on the tyre front as everyone is shuffling and filing in here. And Matteo. There we go. Looks like a little bit of an AI mishap there. And people starting to cruise in. But it's Noel Coleman taking the checkered flag. And what a great job did there to just control the race. So our Barros, last driver to cross the line. Where are they now? Just, yep. I tell you, I gotta say as well, great job done by Sparky there. And on their Season 32 debut, coming P2, not a bad achievement by any stretch of the imagination. Barros getting a 3-second penalty. Not that it matters at this point. Yeah, not that it matters But there you go. That is going to be... And confirm the tyres were dead. What percentage were they looking at, Loco? 86. Wow. Tyres are well and truly gone. Well, I'll say you did the Bonington thing in P2. Very solid result on Sparky's part there. So take a bow, mate. Great job and great season 32 debut. Here we go. Just waiting for the podium to come through here. Yeah, everyone just maxing out those tyres and maxing out the strategy is excellently done. Had by all. Was hitting the gritty there. There's two McLarens on the podium here as Leo Lund takes P3 as well. It's a good day to be a McLaren fan. It's a great day to be in the papaya suit, but there you go. And looking at the final standings there, Noel Carman wins the British Grand Prix with Sparky in P2 and Leo Lund in P3, rounding off the podium. Looking down the field, Justin with a very strong performance at the end of it all, silently creeping up to P4, so brilliantly job starting in 14th. And coming out there, Memento in P5, post-penalty, Super Gaming in P6, Dimas P7, Norby, Aelfin and Yoris rounding out the top 10, and then you can see the other drivers locking in the rest of the standings. Unfortunately, Kintek's DNFing, but luckily it was our only DNF of the race. So brilliant work on the half of the drivers, and brilliant work in terms of the racing skill. So that will certainly put Noel Carman much further ahead in the standings than Yuki, as these two will really come into blows in terms of the Drivers' Championship and are now looking at getting a pretty big distance between themselves. No fastest lap this time, but still 16 points to walk away with. That is certainly going to be a pretty big help in the championship front. I think it's only fair that we talk to our race winner, and after such a commanding performance of the race, how could you not, really? But here we go. Let us take a chat with none other than Noel Carman. How are you feeling about today's race, mate? Because it's obviously P1, another one to take home. How was your experience?
Well, I thought my experience wasn't good as I'm ill and I've been coughing the entire race and quali basically. But I mean, I felt good. Not really much to add. I just want to know what happened to Yuchi. He lost so many places and something happened. I don't know if he on damage or something, but I felt good. I felt like he was faster than me though.
Yeah, you certainly showed us out on track there. It was a really good drive had by you. I do have sort of one overarching question, and that is the tires. Now, it's safe to say that you were pushing those mediums to the absolute limits. Was there any sort of overriding thought behind that call? Were you aiming to go to the softs at the latter half of the race? Like, what was the mental process behind the tire choice this race?
I mean, sorry. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go to the end on these. I don't want to do anything else, because if I stick it out, it'll be a win, and I had pretty good tire wear. I think I had around 81 at the end on my left rear. Well, my teammate Leo had 92% on a tire, so he was struggling more than me. But no, never thought about maybe going to softs or dog shit, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, they certainly managed them well, and because I was getting word from the Mercedes driver, from Sparky's engineer, that they were on 86% by the end, and of course you said Leo Lund 92. Did you ever at any point have a doubt saying, okay, I might be in trouble here as the tires got more worn, or were you pretty confident? Were you pretty safe in your choice?
I felt pretty good as I had the go to Sean Jacobs from F4 engineering me. So he was just telling me Momento or Adams tires and and ERS, so I felt pretty comfortable with all that information. I had better tire than him as well, so I think this is well managed from all of us to know. I saw a Haas spun, I think he had a puncture or something, but no, I think he'll just be... I felt confident that if I was to get a puncture, I wouldn't be the first one to.
Yeah, of course, Silverstone being notorious for sort of putting a lot of stress on the tyres, because we've seen incidents in the past in the real life counterpart of how a tyre strategy can go very wrong. But the other half of this conversation, you were talking about Leo and how he was sort of pushing the limits on those tyres. How are you feeling with the team? Because of course, P1 from you, P3 from Leo post penalty on track. Because of course, Memento had those 3 seconds. How are you feeling regarding the team? Do you feel like you're on good form for constructors?
No, I'm just really proud of him actually, and I think this is the straw where I think we start to run away from AlphaTauri, as they had no points today, I believe. So I think from here on we can only get better, can't we? I mean, P12 to P3, that's fantastic from Leo. I think if we can do this every race, I think we'll win by a large margin.
Yeah, certainly looking strong on your guys' front. Yeah, so AlphaTauri, your main rivals in the constructors, they're 3 points ahead at the time of round 5. But of course, following today's result, I don't think they're standing so strong. Looking at the sort of wider scope and AlphaTauri, of course, say you came into this race even on driver's points with Yuki, and of course they had a bit of a freak incident. Do you see him as like your main rival in this whole ordeal? So of course you two have been running pretty close to each other on a lot of occasions.
No, I see Yuji as my main rival, absolutely. I think there's too little time for the others to catch up. Obviously, just in that racer, it's pretty close. But I mean, it's 11 points, like quite a lot. But I think, yeah, Yuji's gonna be my main rival. He's been really fast last races, but been unlucky. But yeah, I mean, if I stop doing stupid shit and killing people, I'll be fine, I think.
Well, there's certainly going to be some turnarounds on the standings, of course, say Yuki having that incident. But yeah, Justin silently getting P4 amidst this whole ordeal and getting consistent points, just locking those points in. Might see him become a little bit of a pressure, but regardless, mate, say take a rest. You've been pushing yourself this race, and like you say, being ill, it's hard to juggle that. So yeah, a well-earned win. Really well done out there today. I'm going to let you go. Any sort of final words to anyone who's watching?
Happy Christmas and Happy New Year. That's all I have to say.
I'll enter that. Thank you very much, mate. And there you go. That is going to be none other than Noel Carmen, a very familiar face in the commentary box. He's been putting in some good performances lately. Now, just a reminder that next round we head to Portimao, and some regard it as more of a roller coaster than a race circuit, but they are very assured in one thing: is that Portimao is a great circuit, produces some great racing, and I am certainly looking forward to it. So we saw drivers putting their absolute everything on the line and everything on those yellow walls tonight. But Portimao is its own unique set of challenges, which I am looking forward to seeing. But goes without saying, folks, that I'm very thankful for you all in joining us tonight here at PSGL PCF5 Season 32. And if you celebrate it, Merry Christmas, have a wonderful New Year, and we will see you next round in Portugal for round 7. Keep PSGL, folks. It's been a pleasure, and we will see you very much next time. Bye-bye.
This broadcast was brought to you by GT Omega, proudly supporting PSGL.